Hello, I'm Roger Pine from Holistiplan. I'm joining you from summer in Texas, where I'm joined by a chorus of cicadas and leaf blowers. It's been a long time since we've done any sort of feature update on the product, and that's because really I've been waiting for some big blockbuster thing to show you, like the Wealthbox or the Redtail integrations, and I will talk about that at the end. But there's other stuff we've been working on. I wanted to make sure that you saw that. So this will be a speed round. First of all, though, let me just remind everyone who's in the system that we have updated our terms and conditions. Right now, if you haven't agreed to those new terms and conditions yet, you'll see a pretty polite little reminder at the top of the screen that there are new terms and conditions. It'll get a little more insistent as we get into the month of August, to the point where it'll require you to look at those terms and conditions before you can do other stuff in this system. So maybe just do it now while you can. All right, so things that are new. First of all, it's actually been over a month, but we did switch everyone over to the new household listing screen. So when you log in, this is what you see, is the a list of all the households you have set up in the system. Now, if you click on the name at the left-hand side, you'll be brought to a household screen for that particular household, and that's where you see things like who are the names of the people who are in the household. That's where you can edit their birth dates or add or remove people. And also in that household screen are links to any tax returns you've uploaded for the household, plus the reports and scenario analysis screens for them. Going back to the household listing, another way to get at the tax returns you've uploaded for that client is to just click on this pill in the middle here, and that will pop up what's called a modal, and you can click on the same things. Look at the return itself, the tax report, or go navigate to the scenario analysis screen. On the right-hand side of the household listing screen are these age-based notifications that we have, and they're not really a notification, it's just like a little note. And it says this particular client has an age that's maybe worth a conversation with them about. And so if you see a little colorful age-based note, if you hover over that, you can see more information on what that's about. If you see a little caution sign, that just means the system has no birth date for this client, so it doesn't know to generate a note for you. And so you can update that. You can add birth dates in that household screen we talked about earlier. And if there's nothing there, that means there is a household, or that means there is a birth date, but there's just nothing noteworthy to say about the birth date. So if you see a blank line, that means that's a normal old birth date and nothing interesting to talk about on it. Moving to the scenario analysis screen, one thing at the very, very bottom, we've got this withholding calculator piece, which we're going to work on a little bit over the next month or so. And but someone had a really good suggestion. This is one of our members on Holistiplan. They said, hey, for an existing tax year, you can actually kind of reverse engineer and figure out what the client withheld during the year. You just take the total tax and then you subtract out the tax owed or the tax refund, and what's left is what they withheld. And we used to have that just as a blank field for existing tax returns, but we added it in. That was a great idea. So that's there now. And we also added, right when the CARES Act came out, we added the code to handle the calculations like the next day. But I'll admit, we didn't really put a lot of bells and whistles around those code changes. So I just wanted to show you a few of those CARES Act related things. We just popped up some little notes just to make sure people understood what they were seeing. So first of all, the eligibility for the stimulus check. Now, some clients were not eligible due to their 2019 income, but that doesn't mean they can't get it for their 2020 income, and there's an AGI cap for that. And so we just added a little note that says, hey, this client is above or below the AGI cap for the stimulus. So we don't get overeager on a Roth conversion, for example, and lose stimulus. Another one is, so we don't really know how the tax form for 2020 is going to handle that $300 above the line charitable deduction. They may put it on Schedule 1, I don't know. What I did is basically if you enter charity in Schedule A, but it turns out that the client is still better off taking the standard deduction. We just add that $300 to the standard deduction, and that was kind of confusing people because maybe we should have put it in a different place. So now there's a little notification that says, hey, this standard deduction calculation includes $300 for charity, the new above-the-line deduction for charity. Now, I will say there is a rule about that $300 deduction and donor-advised funds. It's not, my understanding is it's not eligible. A donor-advised fund donation is not eligible. So we're really probably going to need to add a little checkbox that says this donation is donor-advised fund or not. We may even need to break it out into 2 fields. It'll be interesting to see how the IRS designs that. So for now, just know that if you enter charity, the system is going to treat it as if it is eligible for that above-the-line deduction. Similarly, if you go into the charity calculator, where we're dealing with calculating the deduction related to AGI caps, we're assuming also there that, in 2020 they've waived the cap, the AGI cap on charitable donations, but that only applies to non-donor advised fund charity. So we added, you can see in here, we added some little notes that say, hey, wait a minute, just to be sure, like we're assuming you're entering a non-donor advised fund charitable contribution. If your client does choose to do a donor advised fund charitable contribution, you're going to have to calculate that limitation outside the system and then capture it as is. Windy in Texas today. All right. And yeah, so those are some changes we made. They're not huge, but they're kind of usability things that might be kind of helpful to you. Now, regarding Redtail and Wealthbox. So Wealthbox is a go. So August 18th, we have a joint webinar with Wealthbox where we're like announcing this thing. And that'll be kind of like a salesy type webinar. So for those of you on the Holistiplan platform already, what we'll do is we'll just make a video like this, so it'll be kind of faster and maybe less salesy if you want to learn how to use the Wealthbox integration. On the Redtail side, it's pretty much ready to go. Redtail released a new version of their API, which we're not required to use. We could continue to use the old one. We built the whole integration using the old one, but just to be future-proof, we want to use their new technology. There's another little enhancement to that API that we're waiting on, and so I don't know if that's days or weeks, but once that's done, it should be relatively quick to push out a Redtail integration as well. And again, we'll do a whole like media thing with Redtail, but then we'll also do an intro just for you so you can see how it works if you're a Redtail user. I think that's it for new stuff, but I promise to not disappear for 2 months at a time because we're always cranking out new things. I'm certainly busy all day with new things. So my promise to you is we'll do a better job of just telling you what's new in the system. Until then, thank you for being a member of Holistiplan, or thank you for your interest in Holistiplan, and we'll see you soon.